The room froze. The sound of glass shattering echoed off the walls, followed by a wave of gasps that seemed to suck all the air out of the reception hall. Clara stood there, her gown hugging her curves, mascara streaking down her cheeks, staring at the man she believed would love her forever. Her hands trembled as she clutched a bouquet she no longer wanted to hold. The groom leaned back casually, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth as his best man tried to hold back laughter. Guests whispered, phones tilted upward, recording every second of her humiliation. Then he said it, loud enough for the entire room to hear. "It was just a bet, Clara. A joke between friends." The room turned into a hollow silence. Clara's breathing became uneven, her vision fogging as her heart slammed against her ribs. She managed to choke out, barely above a whisper, "A bet?" He chuckled, shrugging as if her world hadn't just fallen apart. "Come on. You didn't actually think a guy like me would fall for someone like you." That moment cracked something deep inside her, the kind of heartbreak that forces a person to question their worth. And while everyone stared at Clara like she was the victim of the worst wedding confession they had ever witnessed, no one knew there was something she had never told him, something she had never told anyone, and it was about to change everything. Before this story continues, before we go deeper into what really happened that day and what came after, I want to ask you something. If you were standing in her shoes, if someone publicly humiliated you at the very moment you thought your life was beginning, what would you do? Would you run? Would you break down? Or would you stand your ground? Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Because what no one knew, not even the groom, was that Clara had her own secret. A secret that would flip this moment on its head and leave everyone in that room questioning everything they thought they saw. Clara Bennett was 29 years old, kind-hearted, soft-spoken, and confident in the quiet ways that mattered. She wasn't the type to demand attention when she entered a room, but her presence made people feel calmer, safer, seen. She ran a small floral boutique on the corner of Maple and 7th, a tiny shop that always smelled faintly of lavender and warm eucalyptus. She spent her days preparing wedding arrangements for brides who walked in starry-eyed and excited about forever. She listened to them talk about their dream dresses, their perfect partners, their fairy tale futures. And every time she tied the ribbon around another bouquet, she reminded herself that love was for everyone, no matter the dress size, no matter the number on a scale, no matter what strangers whispered behind her back. Clara didn't just believe in love, she rooted for it, nurtured it, like the flowers she cared for with delicate hands. She had dreams too. Late at night when her shop closed and the city quieted, Clara would sit by the counter with a cup of chamomile tea and scribble ideas in her notebook. Her perfect wedding colors, little doodles of centerpieces, songs she imagined walking down the aisle to. She never pressured herself to rush into marriage, but she held on to the belief that somewhere out there was someone who would see her heart before her body, someone who would appreciate the way she remembered tiny details, birthdays, favorite snacks, childhood memories people didn't even know they needed to share. She imagined someone who wouldn't just tolerate her, but choose her, every day, willingly. And like so many women her age, she felt that silent ache when she saw couples holding hands, or when a bride hugged her and whispered, "Thank you for making my day perfect." Because deep down, she wondered when someone would finally choose her. Have you ever felt that? Watching other people get what you've prayed for, while trying to stay happy for them. Across town, Ethan Ward lived in a different universe. 33 years old, polished, handsome, a real estate investor who grew up in legacy wealth. Ethan looked like someone who belonged on the cover of a business magazine. Sharp suit, practiced smile, expensive watch that always caught the light. People didn't just admire him, they envied him. He walked with the confidence of someone who had never been laughed at, never been underestimated, never been overlooked. His friends loved his arrogance, especially at parties where competition wasn't just social, it was sport. One night, surrounded by loud music, whiskey glasses, and the kind of people who measured worth by net worth, Ethan's friends saw Clara at a charity event, arranging centerpieces with focused care. One of the men elbowed Ethan and said with a mocking grin, "Bet you wouldn't dare date a plus-size woman like her." Ethan raised an eyebrow, amused at the assumption that he had limits. Another friend chimed in, "Yeah, man, someone like you, with someone like that, no way." Ethan leaned back, swirling the drink in his glass, and smiled the kind of smile that wasn't warmth, it was challenge. "Watch me," he said. Those two words were the beginning of Clara's heartbreak. But what Ethan didn't realize was that bets have consequences, especially when the person being played has no idea she's just a game. He approached Clara weeks later, pretending to be intrigued by her work, pretending to care about her kindness, pretending to be moved by her vulnerability. And Clara, who had spent years believing love was meant for every person, allowed herself to hope. She gave him her time, her trust, her heart. She didn't know she was only proving a point in a joke that never should have been made. What started as a cruel bet, something Ethan considered harmless fun, was about to tear apart everything he thought he controlled. Because while Ethan believed he was the one holding all the power, he had no idea that Clara had a secret, one that would turn the